RAND Board is now called into order. We're going to dispense with formalities except for the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll stand and do that. Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any public here to address the board on public comment on items not listed on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll go to additions to the agenda. Any additions to the agenda?
No.
Okay. We'll go straight to regular items. Item 5.1.
Update on status of RAND Board budget process. Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to give you guys a brief update on the budget process that I've been working closely with. Last week, our office met with the auditors, corrections, and sheriff's department to discuss the future budget processing. The conclusion to the meeting was to have both corrections and sheriff's department act as the operating team for RAND and prepare the RAND budget. Once the RAND budget is prepared, our office, the recording clerk, will finalize the budget and bring it forward for approval. Our office will then be responsible for encumbering those funds and request a PO, which will stay in our office for payment processing. All invoices should come before our office, and we will be responsible for making sure the payments are on time. Furthermore, after some discussion, we have come to a decision and have selected Lieutenant Michael Gonzalez as our primary liaison for the RAND Board. I was hoping that everybody was going to be here because I'm requesting each individual to select a representative from their department to speak directly to Michael Gonzalez on any issues that they may have or concerns in regards to the RAN or any equipment needed. However, I would ask that while they are speaking to Michael Gonzalez, that they continue to CC myself and my clerk of the board to make sure that we're in the loop at all times so that we can be Lieutenant Gonzalez's backup if needed. Finally, before you guys in your packet, there is a proposed strategic plan. If you guys can go ahead and take a look at that. I bring before you 4 phases. Phase 1 is already in process. We've updated all live scan devices. However, I understand those are not 100% complete, but those are in process of being complete, hopefully soon. Phase 2, I brought before you guys last meeting a maintenance agreement for our hardware and software. It's my understanding from Corey that the maintenance agreement covers the hardware and software, which includes 24 hours, 7 days a week help desk, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. It also is 15% per year for the maintenance on the equipment that we just received, which equals to $19,000 total for $3,800 per machine. Phase 3 is to upgrade the APHIS system, hardware and software, to include the mobile device for approximately $400,000 to $450,000, which doesn't include the annual maintenance, which is between 10 to 12% additional cost. And looking back at what we received last year for our annual funds, it was between 120 to 130. So if phase 3 is what we're looking for, we would probably want to do this between 5 to 7 years. And then lastly, phase 4 would be the mobile device blue checks. Those each cost $1,600, and I'm not sure how many we'll be needing for each department. With that being said, I plan on bringing this budget or these phases to you guys on February 24th for approval, and I'm hoping that Corey from 3M Cogent will be here to present his quotes and answer any questions that you guys might have.
Okay. Any discussion on item 5.1 or questions? It's just an informational, right?
It's just informational. But what I am asking, if you guys can have your members, again, send myself and Lieutenant Gonzalez, the representative for each department, who their name, their number, and all their information so that I can have a list of those people.
Okay. All right.
And that's it.
Do you want them to contact Lieutenant Gonzalez directly?
Yes, and CCS.
Okay.
And then 5.2, discussion and review of the joint powers agreement.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Just wanted to follow up. At our last meeting, I kind of looked for some direction for the role of the clerk of the board with the RAND. And in doing so, we've kind of been looking at the resolution and the JPA. And so we would like to, we've started, this is Mary Binning. She's our counsel. And she and I have looked at the JPA, and Mary's kind of pointed out some things that we probably need to revisit to take a look at that. One of those is Item 7 is the administering agency. The way it's written, it's the county auditor controller shall act as a fiscal officer for the board and shall be reimbursed for the actual cost of the financial services provided under this agreement. But it doesn't really clarify any of the other administrative services that could be reimbursed. So we're kind of looking at maybe the intent of that, and she had suggested making it the county auditor controller shall act as a fiscal officer for the board. The county shall be reimbursed for the actual cost of the financial services under this agreement. So we can kind of look at maybe getting reimbursed for some of the services from the clerk of the boards and some whatever other county services
We've kind of
are
been
provided to the
absorbing
RAND.
that. We've been absorbing that.
Yes, yes. And then we're also looking at, we're not really sure in that same paragraph, it says, in no case will more than 2% of annual revenue be allocated to accounting and administrative services. And she hasn't been able to find where maybe this 2% came from. So we need to kind of research that further.
Okay.
And then, what's the other one we're looking at? Under the annual budget, there's some language in there that we probably need to speak further with the Auditor Controller's Office to get clarification on what they're addressing under the annual budget part of it. The board shall forward this budget to each party for review and comment upon, what were we looking at? Upon receipt of all comments, the board shall meet and conditionally adopt a budget, which shall be submitted to the Madera County Board of Supervisors for adoption no later than May 31st. The budget shall be balanced in a format prescribed by the Auditor Controller. So I was kind of asking, why do we have to take it to the Board of Supervisors if RAN is a separate entity? And that came up in our discussions when Eric and Michael and Eileen, when we were all meeting as well. And so we're not really sure if maybe that's something that the Auditor's Office needs for clarification.
Now, if this is
Mary.
if this is a joint powers, then
Well, and Mary can kind of address that one a little more. The joint powers, we're trying to figure that one out as well.
We're looking a little bit into the history of the year that the JPA was actually formed, which was 2 years ago, versus when the RAND board came into existence, which was, I believe, 2005 or 2008, and whether there was something that triggered the creation of the JPA at that time, or if it was more or less catching up on paperwork, maybe that JPA should have been created at the very beginning of the RAND board. But some of the history of how the reports have been prepared and adopted and the budgets approved haven't quite gotten to the bottom of if it was more to comply with county procedures versus vehicle code, which doesn't appear to have any vehicle code requirements in there. So we're just digging a little deeper, but the point is that we may come back and be able to isolate more of your functions and maybe not have to burden the board. But if we do, then we'll at least have a good explanation for why.
okay. Does anybody have any questions in that regard? Okay, none. 5.2 is just informational as well. So,
Okay.
any other items? I think that's it. Member reports. And we'll be notified of our next meeting date and time.
Your next meeting will be February 24th at 2:30.
Okay, is that
I'm
already
hoping.
gone out?
No, I'm putting that together. I just ask just to let me know if you guys will not be in attendance.
Okay. With that, this meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming over.
No problem, sorry I was late.